Good Devach, everybody. So I'll tell you, Maisa, one of the most famous Chassidish Rebbes was Tzvi Melech of Dinov, more commonly known as the Bnei Yissachar. He was the nephew of the Navi Melech. He's a big tzaddik. And so it was known amongst all the tzadikim that one of the most unbelievable moments in a person's life, according to the tzadikim, was actually the moment of passing away. Obviously for those that are there, for the students and the family, it's a tragic moment. But for the tzaddik himself, if he's able to be alert and conscious, by the tzaddik, it was a big avoid at that moment of giving one's neshama over to the Rabbanu Shloim, of reconnecting to one's Creator, of having certain kavanas and yichudim. There's a lot of avoida that went around that moment by tzaddikim that were zeicha to be of sound mind at that time. And so the Bnei Yissachar was one of those tzaddikim. The Bnei Yissachar, at the end of his life, got sick, and he saw the moment coming, and he made a lot of achanas, and the Chassidim saw that it was a big avodah by him, to wash his hands a lot, and saying certain tehillim, and certain kavanas, and yichudim, and it was even a well-known thing amongst the tzaddikim that at that moment to somehow take their payas and connect it to their beard. A lot of avodah, a lot of achanas went into that moment. And so all the Chassidim are around the bed of Tzvi Melech of Dinov, the Bnei Yissachar, and it's getting close to that moment of where his neshama is going to, become reunited with its maker. And all the Chassidim are around, and all the avodah has been leading up, and building up, until finally the Bnei Yissachar opens his holy mouth to say the following sentence. And all the Chassidim are thinking, this is the last words that the Bnei Yissachar is saying in the world. It must be the most powerful, most deep message of all. So the Bnei Yissachar opens his eyes, and he looks around the room, and he says, "Is Reb Shmuel here?" So they look around, Reb Shmuel. So there was a yid in the back, a guest, someone that's not someone from the town, and he was Shmuel, and he puts up his hand and says, "Yeah, Rebbe, I'm here." And so the Bnei Yissachar says, "No, Reb Shmuel, what's going to be with the wool? What's going to be with the wool?" So it's very expensive, the wool. So Reb Shmuel says, "You're right, Rebbe, I don't know what's going to be with the wool." So the Bnei Yissachar says, "I'll give you a bracha that Bez Hashem, you should be zeicha to sell it with high profits, and you should make a lot of money from that." And with those were the last words on the Tzvi Melech, on the Bnei Yissachar's holy lips. And with that, his neshama, reconnected to its maker. So after that moment, with time, the Chassidim were contemplating what just happened. Like, what was that conversation about? And what was amazing is that after that day, Reb Shmuel was gone. So obviously rumors began to spread amongst the students. It was Elyonovi, it was one Lamba Tzadikim. What does it mean? Wool, profitable, expensive, all these words. Like, it must have been secrets of Torah going on over there, some secret conversation. What was the message? What was the big avodah at that last moment? So after the Chassidim were trying to figure this out and trying to, understand the depth of wool maybe, and to see how this fits in Avodas Hashem, they decided they have no choice. We're just going to go to they couldn't figure it out. So they went to the Bnei Yissachar's son, tzaddik in his own right, and they asked him, it's during Shiv, but he asked him, like, what was the tzaddik's inyan with that last sentence with Shmuel? Who was this from Shmuel? What's going on? So the Bnei Yissachar's son told him and said like this, my father was a big tzaddik, and you guys are thinking that his last words must have contained the deepest secrets of Torah and the deepest mysteries. But I'll tell you what was going on. This Rav Shmuel that showed up that day, he's a yid, and he's not from here, but he comes a few times a year occasionally, and he's one of these guys that, he every once in a while he changes businesses. He goes to this venture, usually doesn't work out, goes to a different one, and he doesn't have the biggest miles in the world, but he's always one of these entrepreneurial types. He's always trying new things. And when he came into the room, my father, with his Ruach HaKodesh, sensed that Rav Shmuel was there, and from correspondence that were happening the last time he was there, my father remembered that he was getting involved in the wool business. Now, my father happens to know that the wool industry at that moment, the expenses, it was very, 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 very expensive. And so my father was pasha concerned for this guy's parnasa. And he's thinking to him, and my father was expressing, Rav Shmuel, the wool is expensive. The wool is expensive. What's going to be? And so Rav Shmuel said, I'm not sure, Rabbi, what's going to be. And the last words, my father's holy lips, that came out of my father's holy lips was pashut, a bracha for a year, that he should be able to have a parnasa, that he should be able to sell the wool at a nice price to make a living for himself and his family. So, and Bnei Yissachar's son told the Chassidim, he said, you think the last words of my father's lips were some deep, esoteric, mysterious thing. The last words of my father's lips were the most important thing in his life, which is helping another Yid. And even if it might have been any mysterious thing, when he said wool, he meant wool. When he said expensive, he meant the expensive wool. And when he gave that Yid a bracha that he should sell it profitably, that's what he meant. But that was the avoid of a tzaddik, that's the avoid of my father, just to help another Yid. No, to appreciate what that's like to help another Yid and to say kind words, to encourage and to give good advice and so on. And sometimes we get caught up in trying to float away in heaven, when in reality, heaven's facing us right in front of our face. You help another Yid, you say a kind word, you do a mitzvah, a practical mitzvah. It's the greatest gift of all. Hashem should bless us this week. It should be a week full of nechama and Yeshua and bracha. Ad b'li dai v'yis kol tzedek meher v'meinu. Amen.